Never heard about men getting pregnant. I've never heard about this argument. It must be some part of what you call the far left that is so minuscule that I, who am...
No, Jane,
What?
It's not minuscule, and I'm sorry, you can't throw this back on us. I assume it's because you are locked into media that just never wants anyone in their audience to know anything sketchy about...
On the latest episode of Club Random, BillMaher completely shredded Jane Fonda's woke talking points, and it was absolute entertainment. Fonda probably expected another echo chamber podcast, where every word of hers would be nodded at and applauded. Instead, she came face-to-face with Maher, the anti-woke sharpshooter himself, locked, loaded, and ready to dismantle her narrative. Let's dive in.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that is...
No, you know this about California. Come
No,
on.
I don't.
Well,
I'm sorry, I don't.
You've never heard that California is overtaxed and overregulated? That we are a one-party state where there's sort of no checks on that sort of extreme leftism. And that, why do you think...
I don't for a minute consider California a state that is extreme leftist. Not at all, not any way.
Well, that shows where your politics...
Whoa, there's a lot to unpack here. Jane Fonda lives so deep inside the Hollywood bubble that she's practically forgotten what the real world even looks like. After years of flashing cameras, studio applause, and self-congratulating activists, she started confusing the movie set with reality. In her world, slogans replace logic, and moral grandstanding passes for wisdom. But Maher? He's not buying any of it. He's about to take a sharp pin of truth and pop that overinflated Hollywood illusion, snapping Fonda back to planet Earth, where real people live, work, and actually deal with consequences. Grab your popcorn. This one's about to sting.
Became the birthers, they became the Tea Party. There's about a third of this country that's very hard right. Of course they love Trump. When he left office, he had an approval rating of 34%. So he really only had those people. Why is he now like tied? Because the other part of the coalition are people who, they don't really like him that much. They just think the far left has gone so nutty on so many issues.
That's what they're being told.
That's what they...
By people like you.
Because it's true. You think the far left does nothing crazy?
Oh, I'm sure they do.
You can practically feel the tension crackling in the room as these two gear up to go head-to-head. It's that electric quiet before the verbal punches start landing. And here's the real irony. In one breath, Jane Fonda accuses Maher of claiming the far left has gone crazy. And in the very next breath, she admits they actually have gone crazy. Classic. This kind of double standard is practically the far left's signature move. Deny, deflect, then accidentally prove your opponent right. It's like watching a live demonstration of political hypocrisy in real time. Maher sees it, the audience sees it, and Fonda is about to run straight into it. Anyway, let's keep going.
What do you mean when you say far left?
I mean, I could give you a million examples.
Yeah, well, give me one.
Okay, the NAACP.
You think the NAACP is far
Could I
left?
finish my sentence?
Yes.
You asked me for an example. Advisory, you know, that's like the State Department does to go to, I'm sure when you went to Vietnam, they were advising you not to. There's a war on.
I didn't talk to them. I don't have no.
I know, but you know a travel advisory.
Yeah.
Today we have them for very dangerous countries. Here.
Yeah.
Don't go to North Korea. Don't go to Iran.
Yeah.
You know where they issued a travel advisory for black people not to go?
Yeah.
Florida. Every day there's stories like that just makes people roll their eyes and go, are you people nuts? Even if they don't matter that much, I don't think one person listened to this and thought, I can't go to Florida. But they just suggest something to the average person, which I completely understand, which is, wow, do you people ever find anything that's ridiculous?
Woke isn't just a person or a mindset, it's a full-fledged ideology. One that seeps into everything: culture, politics, entertainment, and even the way people think they're allowed to speak. It's an ideology that openly wages war on common sense, bends science into activism, and rewrites history to fit a comforting narrative. Facts become optional, logic becomes offensive, and emotion turns into the new definition of truth. That's the heart of the problem. This isn't about equality anymore. It's about control through moral intimidation. I only wish Maher had pushed that point harder. He hinted at it, but stopped short of really calling it out, maybe to avoid alienating his liberal base. But someone needs to say it clearly. Woke culture isn't progress. It's the slow erosion of reason.
can get pregnant, you know, that kind of stuff. And I understand that a trans woman can get pregnant. That's different than a man getting, I'm blurring that line, as if that's some sort of reasonable social cause, as opposed to just being for having full rights, respect, and protection for trans.
No, trans women can't get pregnant. That's biological reality. And Maher's right. The trans movement should be fighting for rights and freedoms, not trying to rewrite science. There's a huge difference between asking for respect and demanding that everyone abandon basic logic to satisfy an ideology. The movement undermines its own credibility when it pushes claims that conflict with fundamental biology, like insisting men can give birth or pretending gender has zero connection to sex. That kind of extremism doesn't build equality. It drives away people who might otherwise be supportive. The real way forward is simple: protect individual freedoms, ensure dignity, and encourage open, honest dialogue. Policing language, shaming disagreement, and trying to force beliefs on everyone only fuels backlash and shuts down the conversation society actually needs.
Men getting pregnant. I've never heard about this argument. It must be some part of what you call the far left that is so minuscule that I, who am...
No, Jane,
What?
It's not minuscule, and I'm sorry, you can't throw this back on us. I assume it's because you are locked into media that just never wants anyone in their audience to know anything sketchy about the blue.
And that was the hammer blow. Jane Fonda tried to pivot faster than a politician caught on a hot mic. One moment she's defending the far left, and the next she's pretending she's never heard anyone claim that a man can get pregnant. Really, Jane? That talking point has been blasted across woke talk shows, college campuses, and social media for years. You don't get to pretend it never happened. Then, realizing she'd cornered herself, she tried to escape by insisting the woke left is just a tiny slice of the Democratic Party. But Maher wasn't having it. With one sharp comeback, he shattered that illusion, pointing out that this isn't some fringe belief anymore. It's mainstream rhetoric woven into the modern left. In that moment, everything was exposed. The denial, the spin, and the desperate attempt to rewrite reality right there on camera.
I mean, I don't know. I read 2 papers, and maybe I don't. I should watch Fox News.
No,
I guess.
I don't watch that. That's too far. But you don't have to. I'm not going to torture myself.
And that's how the conversation finally fizzled out, with Jane Fonda all but conceding defeat. Cornered and clearly uncomfortable, she tried to deflect with a joke about wishing she'd watched more Fox News. But that moment said everything. It wasn't just humor. It was an unintentional admission that she's been living in an echo chamber. For years, her Hollywood bubble insulated her from the raw, unfiltered debates happening in the real world, on mainstream media, across social platforms, and around ordinary kitchen tables. While she soaked in nonstop approval from like-minded elites, reality kept moving on without her. Maher simply pulled back the curtain. And for the first time, she caught a glimpse of just how disconnected that world has become. Sometimes the truth doesn't need to yell. It only needs to burst the bubble.
History of this country was police who were all too willing to shoot black people. So defund the police, though, was not a good idea. And you know who mostly didn't think it was a good idea was black people, because they want police in their neighborhoods, probably more than we need them in.
That's exactly the issue with woke culture. It runs on impulse, not introspection. The loudest voices rarely pause to consider the long-term consequences of their demands. They just chase whatever slogan is trendy, and when the tide turns, they pretend they were never part of it. Look at the defund the police movement. A few years ago, activists, including many within the black community, shouted it from every street corner, treating it like the highest form of moral virtue. But fast forward to today. Crime skyrocketed, neighborhoods grew less safe, and those same communities are now realizing just how essential law enforcement actually is. That it's a harsh reminder that blindly following virtue-signaling trends without thinking through the consequences often ends up harming the very people they claim to defend.
Republicans tried to catch the Democrats with this, and they put this on, they brought it up in Congress.
Yeah.
And all the Democrats voted against it. The Democratic politicians were not for defunding the police. It's that radical fringe that has captured a lot of the media, academia, some of these cultural institutions that are not liberal anymore by old school liberalism. The ACLU, It's all about free speech. They don't really believe in it anymore. They believe, I mean, in one of their chief people who is trans said, I will die on this hill of banning this.
Absolutely. Maher is spot on. The woke left has become the loudest, most dominant force inside the Democratic Party, effectively hijacking the entire conversation. They set the tone, control the language, and decide which topics are safe to even mention. Meanwhile, the so-called moderates, the mainstream Democrats, look powerless to push back. Most stay quiet, terrified of being branded bigots, sellouts, or traitors to the cause. And the few politicians or commentators who do dare to question this ideological chaos get hammered with coordinated smear campaigns, professional takedowns, and in some cases, even death threats. This isn't about healthy debate or genuine progress anymore. It's about enforcing obedience to an ever-shifting moral orthodoxy that Maher's point cuts deep. If the left doesn't reclaim its sanity soon, the woke fringe will drag the entire movement into political irrelevance.
Voters say U.S. can't repair severe divisions. And they went into the fact that 5 years ago, even during the pandemic and during the George Floyd protests, even then people thought, well, we are going to get through this. And now they seem to be on the page of, it's not going to happen.
You know, Bill,
what do we do? Did you see the story?
Yeah, I think what's new about this moment, one of my teachers and friends, Doug Seidman, likes to say this, we aren't divided, we are being divided. That's right. By companies for profit, okay? And we have our divisions, we always have.
Well, I have to disagree. Division didn't just appear out of nowhere. The far left engineered it. The woke left thrives on outrage and polarization because it keeps them in control. They don't debate, they dictate. The moment you question their worldview or refuse to repeat their talking points, you're instantly labeled the villain, canceled, shamed, or pressured into silence. This isn't about inclusivity or progress anymore. It's about enforcing ideological purity. We've watched countless people lose jobs, reputations, and even friendships simply for holding a different opinion. That isn't tolerance. It's authoritarianism dressed up as moral virtue. Until the left learns how to genuinely tolerate opposing views and engage in honest dialogue instead of launching public witch hunts, unity will stay nothing more than a meaningless slogan. You can't build bridges when one side insists on burning them down. We wrap up today's video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.